You disgusting parasite. You think those bastards in your stomach give you rights in my house?
I'm sorry, ma'am. They are your grandchildren.
Shut it up!
The slap came so hard, blood exploded from Arya's nose. She was 9 months pregnant, belly swollen with triplets, barely able to stand. But her mother-in-law, Victoria Kane, didn't care. "You disgusting parasite," Victoria screamed, grabbing Arya's hair and slamming her face against the kitchen counter. "You think those bastards in your stomach give you rights in my house?" Arya collapsed to the floor, clutching her bleeding nose, her belly cramping with sharp pains. "Please, Victoria, the babies. Victoria kicked her in the back, not the stomach, but hard enough to send Arya sprawling forward. "Those things ruined my son's life. You ruined his life." Marcus Kane, Arya's husband, stood in the doorway, watching, his arms crossed, his face blank. "Marcus," Arya sobbed, reaching toward him with a shaking, bloody hand. "Please, help me." He looked at her like she was garbage rotting on his floor. "Clean yourself up," he said coldly. "You're bleeding on my mother's tiles." Then he walked away. 3 years in hell. This was Arya's life, every single day, for 3 years. When she married Marcus Kane, she thought she was marrying a kind, gentle man. He had smiled at her at the community centre where she volunteered. He said he loved her simplicity, her quiet nature, her warm heart. He promised her a loving home. She had no family, no parents, both dead in a car accident years ago, no siblings, no relatives who claimed her. She was alone in the world. Marcus seemed like her salvation. The moment they married and moved into Victoria's house, the mask came off. "You will address me as Mom," Victoria commanded on Arya's first night. "You will cook every meal for this family. You will clean every corner of this house. You will wash our feet if I demand it. Do you understand me, girl?" Arya was confused. "But Marcus said..." Victoria slapped her across the face, hard. "Did I ask what my son said? I'm asking if you understand." Marcus sat on the couch watching TV, pretending he heard nothing. Arya's lip trembled. I understand." "Good." Victoria smiled cruelly. "Now get on your knees and scrub this floor until I can see my reflection in it." That was day 1. By week 2, Arya was sleeping on a thin mat on the kitchen floor. Victoria took her bedroom. By month 3, Arya was eating scraps, leftovers from Marcus and Victoria's plates, cold rice, stale bread. When Arya got pregnant, it became torture. "You're eating for 3, Victoria mocked, holding a plate of hot, steaming fried chicken and rice in front of Arya's face as she sat on the kitchen floor, trembling from hunger. "Too bad. You get 1 small meal a day. You're already fat enough, you disgusting pig." Arya's hands shook violently as she stared at the food. She hadn't eaten in 3 days. Her stomach had stopped growling. It was beyond that now. Just a hollow, burning emptiness. The babies in her belly were kicking weakly, desperately. She could feel them struggling, her vision blurred. Her lips were cracked and bleeding from dehydration. "Please," Arya whispered, her voice barely audible, tears streaming down her sunken cheeks. Just a little." "The babies. They're barely moving. I think something's wrong." Victoria's eyes gleamed with pure, sadistic pleasure. She lifted the plate higher, letting the delicious smell waft into Arya's face. She waved it back and forth slowly. "You want it?" Victoria whispered, leaning close. "You want to eat like a human being?" "Yes," Arya sobbed. "Please, Mom, please." "Then beg, louder, on your knees. Kiss my feet." Arya's spirit broke completely. She dropped to her hands and knees, 9 months pregnant, belly dragging on the dirty floor. She crawled to Victoria's feet and pressed her forehead to the ground. "Please, Mom, please let me eat. I'm begging you. I'll do anything." Victoria laughed, a cold, cruel cackle that echoed through the house. Then she tipped the plate. The hot food spilled onto the floor. Rice scattered, Chicken rolled across the dirty tiles. Soup splashed everywhere. There. Eat it off the floor like the dog you are. Arya broke completely. She dropped her face to the filthy kitchen tiles and began scooping rice into her mouth with her bare hands. She was sobbing, choking, but she couldn't stop. She was so hungry. The babies needed food. She licked soup off the floor. She grabbed pieces of chicken covered in dirt and shoved them in her mouth. Marcus walked in, saw her, and laughed. "Look at you," he said, his voice dripping with disgust. "Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic." He grabbed a beer from the fridge, popped it open, and took a long, slow drink. Then he poured half of it on the floor, right next to where Arya was eating. "Oops," he smirked. "Made a mess. Clean it up when you're done eating your trash." Victoria cackled louder, clapping her hands. "Look at her. This is what happens when street trash tries to rise above their station. This is where you belong, girl. On your belly in the dirt." Arya sobbed into the dirty floor, her tears mixing with the spilled soup and beer. Her hands shook. Her heart was shattered. But she kept eating because her babies were dying inside her, and this was the only food she'd get. At 7 months pregnant, Victoria made Arya carry 4 heavy bags of groceries up 3 flights of stairs in the August heat. "Move faster, you lazy cow," Victoria screamed from behind her, shoving Arya's back every few steps. Arya's legs shook violently. Sweat poured down her face. Her vision kept going dark. She could barely breathe. The weight of the bags combined with her massive pregnant belly made every step feel impossible. I can't," Arya gasped. "Please, I need to rest." "Rest?" Victoria shrieked. "You think you get to rest? Move!" Arya stumbled on the second flight, her ankle twisted. She cried out. Victoria shoved her from behind, hard. Arya fell. Her body slammed against the concrete steps. Pain exploded through her side, her hip, her shoulder. She screamed a raw, animalistic sound of pure agony. Her hands flew to her belly, clutching it desperately, terrified she'd hurt the babies. "Get up!" Victoria shrieked, yanking her hair so hard chunks came out. "You think falling down gets you out of work? Get up now!" I can't, please, my babies, I think I'm bleeding." Victoria kicked her in the ribs. Not hard enough to kill, but hard enough to steal all the air from Arya's lungs. "Your babies are my grandchildren. They'll survive. They're strong, unlike their pathetic mother. Now get up!" Arya couldn't get up. Her body wouldn't obey. So she crawled. On her hands and knees, 9 months pregnant, bleeding from her knees and elbows where she'd hit the stairs. She crawled up the remaining stairs, dragging the grocery bags behind her with one hand, sobbing uncontrollably, begging God for mercy. Marcus appeared at the top of the stairs. Arya looked up at him through her tears, desperate, broken, dying inside. "Marcus, please, help me. I'm hurt. The babies." He stared down at her. His face was stone, cold, dead. Then he lifted his foot and stepped on her hand, ground his shoe into her fingers slowly, deliberately, until she heard something crack, until she screamed so loud the neighbors could hear. "You're embarrassing me," he said flatly. "Stop being so dramatic." Then he walked away, stepping over her body like she was garbage on the sidewalk. Arya lay there on the top stair, sobbing, cradling her broken fingers, her entire body trembling with pain and shock. Victoria stood over her, arms crossed, smiling. "Clean yourself up. Dinner needs to be on the table in 1 hour. And if you're late, you don't eat for a week." At 8 months pregnant, things got even worse. Celeste Torres moved in. She was Marcus's mistress, a beautiful, confident lawyer with perfect hair, perfect nails, perfect everything. And she didn't hide it anymore. The first night she arrived, she walked right past Arya, who was scrubbing the hallway floor on her hands and knees and wrinkled her nose. "God, Marcus, does she have to be here? She smells." Marcus laughed, wrapping his arm around Celeste's waist. "She's almost done. 1 more month and she's gone." Arya's hands froze mid-scrub. She looked up at them, her heart shattering all over again. "Marcus, what do you mean? Gone?" He didn't even look at her. "Exactly what it sounds like. The moment you pop those things out, you're leaving. Celeste and I are getting married." Celeste smiled cruelly. "Oh, and sweetie, we're keeping the babies. You? You'll disappear. No one will even remember you existed." Aria couldn't breathe. You can't. They're my babies." Victoria appeared from the kitchen laughing. "Your babies? You have no rights, girl. You have no money, no family, no one who cares about you. When we kick you out, where will you go? Who will help you?" Celeste leaned down, her face inches from Aria's. "Exactly. You'll end up on the streets begging for change, and we'll be here raising your children as ours. They'll call me Mommy. They'll never even know you existed." Marcus grabbed Celeste's hand and pulled her toward the bedroom. "Come on, baby, let's not waste time on her." They disappeared into the bedroom. Within minutes, Aria heard them, laughing, kissing, the bed creaking. Aria sat on the floor, frozen, her broken fingers throbbing, her heart completely destroyed. Victoria kicked her mat. "Stop sitting there feeling sorry for yourself. Finish scrubbing, then cook breakfast for tomorrow. And if you wake us up with your crying, I'll lock you in the basement." That night, Aria lay on her thin mat on the kitchen floor, her body aching everywhere, her soul completely broken. She placed her hands on her belly, feeling her babies moving weakly inside her. "I'm sorry," she whispered to them, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry I can't protect you. I'm so sorry." She had no idea that everything was about to change. 1 week before her due date, Aria woke up to voices in the living room. She wasn't supposed to hear them, but she did. Victoria, Marcus, and Celeste, talking, planning. "The moment she gives birth," Celeste said, her voice sharp and cold, "you throw her out immediately that same day. Don't wait." "What about the babies?" Marcus asked. "Keep them," Celeste replied, "or put them in foster care. I don't care, but she goes. She's served her purpose." Victoria cackled. "She won't fight. She has no family, no money, no friends. Where will she go? She'll disappear into the streets where she belongs." Problem solved. "What if she tries to take the babies?" Celeste pressed. Victoria's voice turned ice cold. "Then we call the police and tell them she's mentally unstable. Postpartum psychosis. We'll have her locked up in a mental institution. She'll rot there for years while we live our lives." Marcus laughed. "God, I can't wait to be free of her. She's been a burden from day one." Celeste's voice softened, turning sweet. "And then we can finally be together, baby. Just us. A beautiful life. No more dealing with that pathetic woman crying on the floor." They all laughed together. Aria stood outside the door, her hand pressed against her mouth, her whole body shaking. Tears poured down her face silently. They were going to destroy her completely, take her babies, lock her away, erase her existence, and she had no power to stop them, or so they thought. 2 days later, Aria's water broke. She was scrubbing the bathroom floor when the first contraction hit. Pain exploded through her belly like lightning. She gasped, dropping the scrub brush. Fluid gushed down her legs. No, not yet," she whispered, clutching the sink for support. Another contraction, stronger. She screamed, "Marcus! Victoria! The babies are coming!" Silence. She stumbled out of the bathroom, leaving a trail of fluid behind her. Another contraction brought her to her knees in the hallway. "Please, someone help me!" Marcus and Celeste were in the living room, sitting on the couch watching TV, kissing, ignoring her completely. "Marcus!" Aria screamed, crawling toward them. "The babies, they're coming now!" Marcus glanced at her, then looked back at the TV. "So handle it." "I can't. I need a hospital, please." Celeste rolled her eyes. "God, she's so dramatic." Victoria stormed into the room, her face twisted with rage. "What is all this noise?" "My water broke," Aria sobbed, doubled over in pain. "I need help. I need to go to the hospital." Victoria looked at the puddle of fluid on her floor, and her face went purple with rage. "You're ruining my carpet, you disgusting animal." She grabbed Aria by the hair and dragged her across the floor. Aria screamed, her body convulsing with contractions. "No, please, I need help." "You want to give birth?" Victoria snarled, dragging her to the middle of the living room floor. Fine, do it right here, like the animal you are. She shoved Arya down hard. Arya collapsed, her body screaming in agony. For the next 6 hours, Arya labored alone on the cold living room floor. No one called an ambulance. No one held her hand. No one comforted her. Victoria sat in her chair, arms crossed, watching with disgust. Hurry up. You're taking too long. And you're making too much noise. Marcus and Celeste stayed on the couch, sometimes watching, sometimes ignoring her, sometimes laughing at her screams. Listen to her, Celeste giggled. She sounds like a dying cow. Marcus laughed. Yeah, pathetic. Arya begged between contractions. Please, call someone. Something's wrong. There's too much blood. You're fine, Victoria snapped. Women have been giving birth for thousands of years. Stop being so weak. The pain was unbearable. Arya felt like she was being ripped apart from the inside. She screamed until her voice gave out, until all that came from her throat were hoarse, broken sobs. Finally, after what felt like an eternity in hell, the first baby came. Arya barely had the strength to catch it. A tiny, beautiful baby boy. He wasn't crying. He was too weak. One down, Victoria said coldly. 2 more to go. Hurry up. 20 minutes later, the second baby. A girl, also too weak to cry properly. 30 minutes after that, the third baby. Another boy. Arya lay in a pool of her own blood, barely conscious, her 3 babies lying on her chest. They were too cold, too quiet. They needed help. Real medical help. Marcus, please, Arya whispered, her voice almost gone. The babies, they need a hospital. Please. Marcus stood up and walked over. He looked down at her with pure disgust. Then he grabbed the babies roughly, yanking them off her chest. Arya cried out weakly. Victoria appeared with dirty kitchen towels and wrapped the babies carelessly, like they were objects, not fragile newborn lives. Get up, Victoria commanded. I can't, Arya whispered. She could barely move. Blood was still pouring from her body. She was dying. She knew it. Victoria kicked her. I said get up! Marcus grabbed Arya's arm and yanked her to her feet. Her legs immediately gave out, but he dragged her anyway. She screamed in agony as her body, still torn and bleeding from childbirth, was pulled across the floor. No! Please! Not outside! I'll die! The babies will die! Victoria shoved the 3 babies back into Arya's weak, trembling arms. You want them? Take them! Celeste opened the front door. Rain was pouring. Freezing, violent rain. It was midnight. The temperature was near freezing. Marcus, please! Arya begged, her voice raw and broken. I gave you everything. I loved you. Please don't do this. Marcus looked at her. His eyes were dead, empty, completely without mercy. You were nothing but a burden from the start, he said coldly. Now you're not even my problem. And he shoved her. Arya stumbled out into the freezing rain, barefoot, bleeding heavily, 3 newborn babies clutched weakly to her chest. She tried to stay standing, but her legs gave out immediately. She collapsed onto the wet wooden porch, her body hitting hard. The babies cried weakly, thin, desperate sounds. Inside the house, Victoria, Marcus, and Celeste stood in the doorway, looking down at her like she was trash. Don't come back, Victoria said. If you do, I'll call the police and tell them you're insane. They'll lock you up and take those babies away forever. Marcus slammed the door. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Arya lay there in the freezing rain, bleeding out, her vision going dark. She tried to hold her babies close, to keep them warm with her dying body heat, but she was so weak, so cold. Inside the house, she heard them laughing, celebrating, popping champagne. Finally free, Marcus said. Arya looked up at the dark, rainy sky, tears mixed with rain on her face. Please, she whispered to no one. Someone, help us. Her eyes closed, her grip on the babies loosened. She was dying. They were all dying. But then, headlights, bright, blinding. cutting through the darkness like salvation. The headlights didn't slow down. They came fast, precise, stopping directly in front of the house with military efficiency. Not one car, 5 black SUVs. Doors opened simultaneously. Shadows stepped out, tall, structured, professional. Men and women in black suits moving with lethal purpose. Aria lay collapsed on the porch, barely conscious, her 3 newborn babies against her chest, crying weakly. Blood pooled beneath her. Rain poured down. She was seconds from death. A man's voice cut through the storm, deep, authoritative, urgent. "Miss Blackwell, we've found her." Footsteps pounded on the porch, multiple people rushing. The first man dropped to his knees beside Aria. He was in his 40s, broad-shouldered, a security pin on his lapel. His face broke when he saw her condition. "My God, Miss Blackwell, what did they do to you?" He gently took one of the babies from Aria's arms. Another person took the second. A woman took the third. "Get them warm immediately, full medical team now." Aria's eyes fluttered open barely. She saw faces, unfamiliar, professional, concerned, not cruel, not mocking, kind. "Who?" she whispered. The man carefully lifted her, wrapping her in a thick, warm blanket. "Miss Blackwell, my name is James Carter. I'm head of security for the Blackwell estate. We've been searching for you for 3 years." Aria's mind was foggy. Blackwell? That name. That was her parents' name. "Stay with us," James said firmly as he carried her toward one of the SUVs. "You're safe now. You and your children are safe." Behind them, a second SUV opened. A medical team emerged, 2 nurses, a paramedic, equipment. They immediately took Aria from James's arms and began emergency treatment right there in the vehicle. "She's hemorrhaging. Start IV fluids. Check the baby's vitals. Get oxygen on all of them." Inside the house, Marcus stood frozen at the window, champagne glass still in his hand. His face had gone completely white. What is happening?" he whispered. Victoria rushed to the window, her jaw dropped. "Who are these people?" Celeste's hands started shaking. Those are private security, military grade. "Marcus, who the hell is that woman?" The front door of the house suddenly opened, not from the inside. It was kicked open. 6 armed security personnel entered, followed by a man in an expensive 3-piece suit, late 50s, cold eyes, carrying a briefcase. Victoria screamed. Marcus stumbled backward, dropping his glass. Champagne and shattered glass spread across the floor. "Who the hell are you?" Marcus shouted. "You can't just break into my house." The man in the suit stepped forward calmly, unbothered by Marcus's outburst. He opened his briefcase and pulled out a folder. "My name is Richard Morrison. I am the chief legal counsel for the Blackwell estate." He dropped the folder on the coffee table. Papers spilled out, official documents with gold seals, photographs, bank statements. "The woman you just threw into the freezing rain to die with her newborn children." Richard's voice was ice cold. "Her name is Aria Marie Blackwell, sole surviving heir to the Blackwell industrial empire. Net worth $40 billion. The words hung in the air like a bomb. Victoria's face went from white to grey. She grabbed the back of a chair to keep from collapsing. Celeste's mouth opened and closed like a fish. No sound came out. Marcus's legs gave out. He fell onto the couch, his face completely drained of colour. "No," he whispered. "No, that's impossible. She's nobody. She has nothing. She told me she was an orphan with no money." Richard smiled coldly. "She is an orphan. Her parents, Alexander and Catherine Blackwell, died in a car accident 6 years ago. But before they died, they established one of the largest trusts in the country, specifically for their daughter." He pulled out more documents. "When Miss Blackwell turned 21, she inherited everything. But she wanted to live simply. She wanted to see if anyone would love her for who she was, not what she had." Richard's eyes turned to steel. She legally kept her maiden name, Blackwell, on every official document. Marriage certificate, bank accounts, medical records. She never changed it. She just introduced herself by your last name socially. Marcus couldn't breathe. His entire world was collapsing. I didn't know. The papers. I never looked. Exactly, Richard said. You never cared enough to look. He pulled out more papers. For 3 years, Miss Blackwell lived under your roof. And for 3 years, you abused her, starved her, beat her, humiliated her. Victoria found her voice, shrill and desperate. That's a lie. We treated her well. She's making this up. James Carter, the head of security, stepped forward. He held up a tablet. We have everything, he said quietly. Your neighbor, Mrs. Chen, has been recording the abuse for 18 months. Every beating, every time you starved her, every cruel word. He pressed play. The video showed Aria on her knees, eating food off the floor while Victoria laughed. It showed Marcus stepping on her hand while she was pregnant. It showed them throwing her out into the rain minutes ago. Victoria's face crumbled. No, that's not. Furthermore, Richard continued, we have bank records showing that Mr. Kane has been attempting to access Miss Blackwell's accounts. Fraud attempts that triggered our security systems 6 months ago. That's how we found her location. Marcus was shaking violently now. I was going to pay it back. I just needed... You stole from her, Richard said flatly. You abused her. You nearly killed her and your own children, and now you will face the consequences. Police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Celeste suddenly bolted for the back door. James Carter didn't even move. 2 security personnel were already there, blocking her path. Sit down, Miss Torres, James said calmly. You're not going anywhere. Celeste collapsed against the wall, sobbing. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know who she was. You knew she was pregnant and helpless, Richard said coldly. You encouraged her abuse anyway. Ignorance is not a defense. The police arrived. 4 officers entered the house. Marcus Kane, Victoria Kane, Celeste Torres. You're all under arrest for attempted murder, child endangerment, fraud, assault and theft. Victoria screamed as they handcuffed her. No, this is my house. You can't do this. Actually, Richard said, pulling out another document, this house was purchased 6 months ago by the Blackwell estate. You've been living in Miss Blackwell's property. You're being evicted effective immediately. Victoria's scream turned into a wail of pure anguish. Marcus didn't fight the handcuffs. He just sat there, broken, staring at nothing. I want to see her, he whispered. Please. Let me explain. James Carter leaned down, his face inches from Marcus's. His voice was quiet but deadly. You will never see her again. Those children you threw away, they're heirs to $40 billion. Congratulations, you just destroyed any chance you had at a future. As they dragged Marcus out of the house, he started screaming. Aria, please, I'm sorry, please don't do this, Aria. But Aria was already gone. In a private medical helicopter racing toward Blackwell Memorial Hospital with her 3 babies safe and warm beside her. For the first time in 3 years, she was safe. The courthouse was packed. Reporters lined the hallways. Cameras flashed constantly. This was the trial of the decade. Aria Blackwell sat in the front row, her 3 babies, now healthy, thriving, 3 months old, being held by professional nannies beside her. She looked completely different, healthy, strong. Her hair was styled. She wore an elegant dress. But her eyes carried the weight of everything she'd survived. Across the courtroom, Marcus, Victoria, and Celeste sat at the defendant's table. They all looked destroyed. Marcus had lost 30 pounds. His eyes were hollow. Victoria's hair had gone completely grey. Celeste couldn't stop crying. The judge entered. All rise. Everyone stood. This is the case of the state versus Marcus Kane, Victoria Kane, and Celeste Torres. Multiple charges including attempted murder, child endangerment, fraud, assault, and theft. How do the defendants plead? Marcus's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my clients plead. Guilty, Marcus interrupted, his voice broken. We plead guilty to everything. The courtroom gasped. Victoria sobbed loudly. Celeste put her head in her hands. The judge looked surprised. Mr. Kane, you understand that by pleading guilty, you're waiving your right to a trial? I understand, Marcus whispered. I just want to tell her I'm sorry. The judge looked at Aria. Miss Blackwell, the defendant wishes to address you. Do you consent? Aria looked at Marcus for a long moment. Then she nodded once. Marcus stood shakily. His lawyer tried to stop him, but he pulled away. He walked toward Aria, handcuffs rattling. Security tensed, but Aria raised her hand slightly. Let him speak. Marcus stopped 10 feet away from her. Tears streamed down his face. Aria, His voice cracked completely. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I was cruel. I was evil. I treated you like garbage when you were the best thing that ever happened to me. Aria's face remained neutral, calm. Marcus fell to his knees. Please forgive me. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Please, let me see my children. Please. Aria stood slowly. The entire courtroom went silent. She walked toward Marcus until she was standing directly in front of him. She looked down at him, this man who had destroyed her, broken her, nearly killed her. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet but strong. You taught me something important, Marcus, she said. You taught me that I don't need anyone to save me. I can save myself. She turned to the judge. Your Honor, I want the maximum sentence for all 3 defendants. No mercy, no reduced charges. They nearly killed me and my children. They deserve no compassion. Marcus sobbed harder. Aria, please. She looked at him one last time. My children will never know you. They will never know what you did. They will grow up loved, safe, and happy. And you will rot in prison, thinking about what you threw away. She turned and walked back to her seat, picked up one of her babies, and held him close. The judge nodded. Mr. Kane, Mrs. Kane, Miss Torres, I hereby sentence you as follows. Marcus Kane, 25 years in federal prison. Victoria Kane, 20 years. Celeste Torres, 15 years. No possibility of parole. Victoria fainted. Celeste screamed. Marcus just stared at Aria, watching as she kissed her baby's forehead, watching her walk out of the courtroom surrounded by security, watching his entire world disappear forever. Aria Blackwell stood on the balcony of her penthouse apartment, looking out over the city. Behind her, she could hear her 5-year-old triplets, Nathan, Emma, and Lucas, laughing as they played with their nanny. She had rebuilt her life completely. She now ran the Blackwell Empire with fierce intelligence and compassion. She had donated millions to domestic violence shelters. She had started a foundation for abused women. She had become a voice for the voiceless. Her children were happy, healthy, brilliant. They knew nothing of their father's cruelty. They only knew love. Marcus was in prison, broken and alone. Victoria had died of a heart attack in her cell 2 years ago. Celeste had tried to reach out to Aria multiple times, begging for forgiveness, but Aria never responded. Some wounds don't deserve forgiveness. Some people don't deserve second chances. Aria had won. Not just legally, not just financially. She had won her life back. She had won her soul back. And as she watched the sunset with her children's laughter echoing behind her, Aria smiled. She was finally free. If this story touched your heart, if you felt Aria's pain and celebrated her victory, smash that subscribe button right now. Comment below where you're watching from and tell me, what's the most powerful moment in this story? Share this video with anyone who needs to hear that they can survive anything and come out stronger. Remember, you are not what others say you are. You are not defined by how people treat you. You are powerful. You are worthy. And you can rise from anything. See you in the next story.